A relationship with a narcissistic wife can be incredibly brutal and draining, depending on how severe her traits are and whether she actively refuses to see reality. To be clear, you should never stay in an abusive or toxic environment. But the reality is that many men want to know how to handle the daily chaos, manage their own minds through the constant shifts, and figure out if there is any way to stabilize their home life. It is important to look at this situation with absolute facts, not wishful thinking. While some people can manage basic behavioral issues through intense therapy, a true narcissistic personality disorder is a completely different story. If your wife is entirely unwilling to acknowledge her behavior, rejects any form of professional help, and constantly blames you for every single problem in the marriage, trying to fix things will only destroy you. Here is exactly what you are dealing with, what you need to do, and what you must stop doing right now. 1. General awareness of narcissistic personality disorder. Living with a spouse who exhibits narcissistic traits means navigating a complex, often invisible emotional minefield every single day. Narcissistic personality disorder is not just excessive vanity or a strong personality. It is a deeply rooted psychological structure characterized by a profound need for admiration, a pervasive lack of empathy, and an inability to handle vulnerability. When your wife suffers from this condition, the persona presented to the outside world is often flawless, charming, and highly capable. Behind closed doors, however, a completely different dynamic unfolds. The confidence you see on the surface is actually a rigid defensive shield, constructed to protect an incredibly fragile self-esteem. Any perceived slight, disagreement, or constructive feedback is felt as a direct, catastrophic threat to their identity. Understanding this psychological reality is the first step toward regaining your footing. You are not dealing with a temporary bad mood or a communication issue that can be resolved with a standard conversation. You are dealing with a deeply ingrained pattern of perception and behavior. Recognizing that this behavior stems from a profound internal deficit, rather than anything you have done wrong, allows you to stop taking the manipulation personally. This shifts your perspective from constant confusion to objective observation. It helps you see the underlying mechanism at play, which is essential for protecting your own mental health and making informed decisions for your family. 2. What you should do. When you realize your wife has narcissistic tendencies, the instinctual urge is often to retreat or react in anger. However, survival and peace in this environment require an immediate shift from reactive survival to deliberate execution. You cannot change her condition, but you can change the rules of engagement. Taking positive, strategic action is about reclaiming agency over your home life and forcing a highly chaotic psychological dynamic into a predictable structure. Establish clear boundaries. You need to establish firm, unyielding rules about how your wife can speak to you and treat you in your daily life. Think about specific things you will no longer tolerate under your roof, like yelling, personal insults, or public humiliation. Write these personal rules down clearly in your mind so you know exactly where the line is before any interaction begins. When she breaks a rule, you must act immediately without shouting, getting angry, or trying to lecture her about her behavior. Tell her plainly and in a flat voice that you will not stay in the room if she continues to use that tone. Then, physically, walk away from the situation immediately to show your words have real consequence. This discipline prevents you from getting sucked into long hours of emotional exhaustion and pointless back-and-forth arguments that lead nowhere. By leaving the physical area, you immediately cut off her ability to use you as a dumping ground for her inner frustration and chaotic moods. It forces a complete halt to the toxic interaction. Focus on solutions, not blame. When a household problem happens, skip the discussion about whose fault it is and talk only about the immediate practical fix. If you mention her mistakes or bring up what she did wrong, she will instantly get defensive and start a massive argument to protect her pride. Her mind cannot process personal accountability without feeling intense shame. Keep your sentences short, factual, and focused entirely on what needs to happen next to solve the issue. Use a flat, calm voice that leaves no room for emotional drama, attitude, or side arguments about past mistakes. Your goal is to manage the logistical problem at hand, not to fix her personality or make her admit her faults. When you refuse to talk about past mistakes, you prevent her from rewriting history or twisting the narrative to make you the bad guy. You keep the power of the conversation on real, solid facts that are happening right now in the present moment. This leaves her with zero ammunition to use against you during the discussion. Acknowledge and praise sincerely. People with these specific personality traits need regular compliments and validation from the outside world to feel safe and calm. When she does something good for the kids, finishes a task, or keeps the house organized, give her a quick, honest compliment right away. Do not hold back praise out of resentment, as that only increases household tension. Make your praise about the specific action she took, not just general flattery that feels fake or forced. For example, tell her that the dinner she made was excellent, or that she handled a school schedule very well. This gives her the positive attention she craves, but links it directly to helpful, cooperative family behavior. This targeted approach satisfies her deep need for constant attention while encouraging her to repeat those helpful behaviors in the future. It allows you to guide the household dynamic into a smoother routine without requiring you to compromise your own values or bow down to her. You are simply using her need for validation strategically. Encourage professional therapy. You cannot fix this relationship dynamic alone, so you need to look for outside professional help from a qualified counselor. Do not tell her she needs therapy because she is broken or crazy, as that will cause an immediate blowout and complete rejection. Her fragile ego cannot handle the idea that she is the problem. Instead, frame the counseling sessions as a joint effort to improve family communication and make daily life smoother for both of you. Position it as a positive, proactive step that helps the marriage succeed and shows how much you value her input. Make it sound like a tool for optimization, not a repair shop. A neutral counselor can spot her manipulative patterns and communication blocks without making her feel like she is on trial. This external guidance takes the heavy pressure off your shoulders and places the assessment in a balanced, professional environment. It stops the marriage from being a constant game of your word against her word. Practice self-care. You must build a private life and a support system that exists completely outside of your wife's emotional world. Spend regular time doing activities that make you feel happy, healthy, and totally independent of her daily moods and attitude. Your happiness cannot be tied to her approval, because she will use that to control you. Eat well, go to the gym, and keep up with your own personal interests and hobbies every single week without exception. When you are physically strong and mentally clear, her sudden emotional changes lose their power to completely destroy your day. You become a solid rock that her emotional waves cannot wash away or break. Developing your own independent routine provides a safe mental space where her constant demands and complaints cannot reach you. This independent strength is exactly what allows you to look at the marriage objectively and make logical decisions for your future. It keeps your mind grounded in what is real, healthy, and normal. 3. What you should not do. Equally important to knowing what steps to take is recognizing the fatal mistakes that can instantly destroy your emotional progress. In a relationship with a narcissistic partner, certain instinctive reactions act like fuel on an open flame. Knowing what to avoid is your primary line of defense against psychological deterioration and prolonged domestic conflict. Many men fall into the trap of believing that if they just explain their pain well enough or surrender enough of themselves, their partner will finally understand. This is a profound miscalculation that only deepens the cycle of manipulation. To protect your psychological integrity, you must identify and eliminate the specific defensive habits that keep you entangled in her emotional trap. Do not argue or try to win with logic. Stop trying to use facts, text messages, or logical proof to win arguments during a domestic fight. She does not care about finding the objective truth or resolving the issue fairly. She only cares about winning the interaction to protect her ego. To her, admitting a mistake feels like total psychological destruction. When you show her clear evidence that she is wrong, she will simply change the subject, bring up the past, or blame you for something else entirely. You will waste your valuable time and energy talking in circles while she twists your words against you. The harder you try to argue logically, the more frustrated you will become. Trying to convince her with logic only leaves you feeling completely exhausted, confused, and questioning your own memory of the events. Her true goal in an argument is to break down your confidence until you give up and apologize just to stop the noise. It is an intentional tactic to keep you off balance. Do not directly attack their self-esteem. Never use insults, mocking tones, or public embarrassment to strike back at her when you are feeling angry or pushed to your limit. Crushing her pride or exposing her insecurities will trigger an intense explosion of anger known as narcissistic rage. This is far worse and more dangerous than normal human frustration. She will view your personal criticism as a total declaration of war against her identity and will spend days or weeks looking for ways to punish you later. This vindictive reaction creates an incredibly toxic, hostile atmosphere that harms everyone living in the house. The punishment she inflicts will always be worse than your initial comment. This explosive rage can destroy any small progress you have made and turn your home into an active, stressful battlefield for days. It causes long-lasting emotional damage to everyone nearby, especially your children who see the tension. They absorb the stress of the environment, which can affect their own development and peace. Do not completely sacrifice your own needs. Do not agree to unfair demands, give up your rights, or hide your true feelings just to keep the house quiet for one night. Constantly giving up your own desires and comfort to avoid a fight does not bring real peace or stability to your marriage. It only buys you a temporary truce. It actually teaches her that your boundaries do not matter at all, and that she can get whatever she wants simply by being difficult or loud. Over time, you will completely lose your sense of personal identity, lose your self-respect, and become deeply bitter about the life you are living every day. When you completely erase your own presence to please her, you slowly destroy your ability to think clearly and protect your kids from the same manipulation. True household stability never comes at the cost of your own mental health, values, and basic human dignity. You cannot sacrifice yourself to save a broken dynamic. Do not expect overnight change. Stop waiting for a magical moment where she suddenly realizes how much pain she is causing the family and gives you a real apology. People with these deeply ingrained, rigid personality traits almost never experience a sudden, permanent awakening about their own behavior. Their mind is built to block out any personal guilt. Any positive changes or nice behavior you see are usually temporary attempts to regain control over you when they feel you slipping away or getting distant. Expecting her to become a completely different, loving person next week will only keep you trapped in a painful loop of constant disappointment and false hope. Hoping for a quick fix keeps you stuck in a bad cycle of waiting, getting your hopes up, getting hurt, and feeling let down all over again. Accepting the permanent nature of her personality traits allows you to stop living in a fantasy world. It forces you to deal with the reality in front of you. Do not isolate yourself. Do not hide your marital problems from your close friends or family because you feel embarrassed, ashamed, or protective of her public image. Keeping these severe struggles a total secret completely cuts you off from the people who actually care about your well-being. Isolation is exactly what makes manipulation work so effectively. Without outside perspectives from people you trust, you will slowly start believing her distorted version of reality and think that every single problem is your fault. You need objective friends and family members to look at the situation and remind you of what is normal, healthy, and fair in a relationship. Silence keeps you trapped inside her version of the truth, making it almost impossible to break the psychological cycle of abuse. Having a strong, reliable outside social network acts like an emotional anchor during the most difficult, chaotic times at home. It keeps you connected to the real world outside your front door. Talk honestly and privately with a few trusted people or a private professional counselor about what is happening behind closed doors. Sharing this heavy burden keeps you connected to reality, validates your painful experiences, and gives you the emotional strength needed to keep moving forward every single day. You are not responsible for fixing a psychological condition that you did not create. Your worth is not defined by how well you can manage someone else's volatile emotions, nor is it measured by your ability to keep an unstable relationship afloat. You deserve to live a life filled with genuine peace, mutual respect, and emotional safety. Recognizing the reality of your situation is not an act of surrender. It is a profound reclamation of your own personal power. You possess the internal strength to establish boundaries, protect your mind, and make choices that honor your own humanity. Trust your perception of reality, honor your feelings, and know that your life has immense value, independent of your marital status or your spouse's approval. Thank you so much for watching this video until the very end. Your time, your focus, and your personal journey matter deeply. If this content brought you some clarity and comfort today, please consider sharing your personal story or reflections in the comments section below, so others know they are not alone in this fight. If you know someone else who might be quietly navigating a difficult relationship right now and needs to hear this message, please send this video to them. Stay strong and take care of yourself.